Hey Duo team members, I have another prenatal session for you today. I'm calling it a lazy mat work session. It's not really lazy. You will still be working hard. It's just that the position that you will take this morning will be lying down. Okay, so everything that we do today will be in a supine position or lying down. So what you need at home is a pillow or a couple of pillows to elevate you, because I don't want you laying flat on your back if you are over 16 weeks pregnant. If you were still in the first trimester and you were comfortable on your back, then by all means you can lay flat on your back. But for everybody else, please make sure that you are elevated at least 30, maybe even 45 degrees, depending on how comfortable you are. So I am using a pregnancy wedge, but a pillow or two at home will work just fine. I just wanted to show you, just in case you couldn't see it because it's black and we have a black mat. So the first position that we're going to take is lying on our side for our clams. So setting up, make your way slowly down onto the mat. A couple of positions you can have here. You can have your arm, your bottom arm laying straight underneath your ear, or you can have your hand bent and resting your head on your hand, or in another position that's comfortable for you. I just want to make sure that your hips are stacked, your knees are stacked, and your feet are stacked. I like my feet in line with my bottom, and you don't want to sink into the mat, okay? So either push that top hip down towards your feet, or think about lifting the bottom of your ribs and the underside of your body off the mat, and you want to hold that little gap there. That'll just help engage those obliques. So starting in our original clam position, top arm can be relaxed in front, it could be resting on your top hip, wherever's comfortable. So set yourself up, and then starting in the original clam position, you're just going to float that knee up and then close the clam. Keep the belly button pulled in off the t-shirt. We're going to do 10 original clams. You just don't want any rocking around of the hips. Okay, so squeeze the glute of the top leg. Float that knee up and then close. I think we're about halfway. Check in with the underside. You're not sinking into the mat. I was, so I've just lifted. 3 more. Last couple. Last one. Little rest in between, then we're going to raise the feet. Continue with our clams for 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, last 2, and last 1. Relax for a moment. Now we're going to open the top knee, and then we're going to lift our whole foot, touch the knees together, touch the feet. Touch the knees, touch the feet. So we're going to internally rotate our top leg and then externally rotate. So all the movement comes from inside the hip. I don't want the actual hips to be rolling around, so keep them stacked and still. I think we've got about 4 more. Last couple. Last one. If you need a rest in between, close the clam, give the bottom a little punch. When you're ready, float that knee open again. From here, we're going to extend the top leg and then return it, but just touching the feet together. Extend and return for another 10. So keeping that knee pointing up towards the ceiling if you can. Last 3. Bottom should be burning. Last couple. And then relax. Little punch. Bring that blood flow back to the hip. Now extending the top leg and flexing the foot. And then the bottom leg comes to a right angle. Same position, a little bit of a gap underneath the lower waist. So flexing that top foot, You're going to lift and lower. So keep it in line with the hip. So 10 of these. Now if this is uncomfortable for whatever reason, you can bend and stretch. Okay, so if that's more comfortable, please do that. Otherwise, lift and lower. Total of 10. I'm just going to do one more. From here, we're going to sweep the leg forward, and then we're going to turn the toe down. I'm going to lift and lower in this position. This one really, really burns because we're internally rotating that hip. So just targeting different areas of the glutes. Last two. Last one. And then a break. Whew. Give it a little punch. Now you can go ahead and follow on with the rest of the video, or you can flip around and do the other side. So two options. You can just do one side for your clams, and then we'll do everything on our back, and then you finish off on the other side, or you continue with me. It's just a bit of a bugger having to change positions, and if you are in the second or third trimester, you've got to reshuffle your pillows around. So when you're ready, setting up in that clam position, make sure that underarm is comfortable. I always do two different things on each side, so just figure out what's comfortable for you. Feet are stacked, knees are stacked, and feet are in line with the bottom. A little bit of a gap underneath that lower waist, starting with our original clam for 10. Last 4. Keeping those hips stacked, no rolling. After our last one, we raise the feet for 10. Belly button pulled in off the t-shirt, helps engage those abs. Last 2. Lowering the feet, opening the clam, internal, external rotation for 10. Keeping those hips stacked, having the movement come from inside the joint. A little bit of a gap underneath the lower waist, just check in. Last 3. Last 1. Closing the clam, and then when you're ready, opening up, we're going to extend that top leg and then return to touch the feet. Extend, return. Five more. Last one. And then relax, give the bottom or the hip a little punch. Then we're going to extend that top leg, bring the bottom leg into a right angle, flex the foot of the top leg. You've got your 10 lift and lowers, but as I said before, if it's uncomfortable for whatever reason, you're just going to bend the knee and straighten. So I'm going to do the leg lifts. Four more. Last couple. And sweep the leg forward, turn the toe down towards the floor, lift and lower for 10. Last 2 and last one. Oof. Give that hip in the bottom a little bit of a punch. Bring that blood flow back. And then we're going to roll onto our backs. So you need to be elevated in this position. So if you need a few pillows to stack yourself up, that is completely fine. Just want to make sure that you are comfortable. From here, we're just going to take a leg stretch. So you can have the opposite leg stretched out, or you could have it bent, it doesn't matter, but we're just going to stretch one leg up towards the ceiling. Now you can hold on to the back of the thigh just for support. We'll just take a quick stretch, 20 to 30 seconds. So holding on to begin with, and then letting go, keeping the leg there. You're going to do some little hip circles. So you're going to roll the leg in a circular motion. So try and keep the knee straight if you can. You will feel your abs engage for this one as well. So a bunch one way and then reverse. So maybe 8 to 10 each way, and then relax down. From here, just going to lift your leg straight up. So same leg that you started with the stretch, you're going to lift and lower, but don't touch the ground, just hover it off the ground an inch. Lift and lower. For 10. You got 5 more. You will feel your lower abs working and your hip flexor. Last one, and then lower. Now you don't have to get your leg up very high. You can just lift it this high if that's comfortable. You will still get your lower abs involved. And if lifting the whole leg is a bit too much, depending on the stage of pregnancy you're in, you can do a tabletop 2-leg extension instead, if that's a bit more comfortable, rather than lifting the whole leg up. So that is a second option. And moving on to the opposite leg, so start with the stretch for 20 to 30 seconds. So I bring my head off. You don't have to if it's more comfortable just to stay relaxed. You can do so. Probably depends on your flexibility. My neck's a bit sore today, so I'm going to raise up. So straight leg stretch, and then relaxing down for the little hip circles. So starting in a circular motion, just little ones. As I said before, you will feel your abs engage to hold that leg. And reverse. So 8 to 10 one way, 8 to 10 the opposite way. And then lowering. So here we go into our leg lifts, 10 of them. So it can be small or it could be large, or you can do the tabletop to leg extension. I just don't want you to relax your leg on the ground in between, okay? So I'm going to do straight leg lifts for 10. Last one, and then relax. Just gently bring those knees in towards the chest. So depending on how big your belly is at this stage, it will determine how comfortable you are with having 2 knees brought in close to the chest. But if you can manage it, just bring them in and just kind of roll side to side. Give the back of the pelvis and the lower back a little massage. Some little circles as well. If the belly's in the way, you can take more of a happy baby position where you separate the legs. It's a nice hip opening stretch. Just have a little roll around. And then placing those knees either back on the floor for a moment's rest. We're going to do some reverse abs only if you feel comfortable to do so. So hands can kind of come down either side of the hips. And then when you're ready, you're going to slowly pick those feet off the floor, bring the knees towards your chest, and just see if you can take a bit of pressure off your tailbone. So you might need to put a bit of pressure into the floor. So if you are in first trimester, you should be able to lift your tailbone off the floor. As we are getting further through our pregnancy and bigger, I just want you to take a little bit of pressure off. You'll feel the lower abs try to engage. So take a bit of pressure off. You don't have to lift the tailbone off the floor completely, but just take a little pressure off. Just for a little bunch, and then relax. Keeping the knees about hip width apart, feet flat on the floor. I'm going to work on the core again, so transverse abs. I'm going to start with our knee drop out. So you're going to let one knee kind of drop to the side, no more than an inch, and then you're going to bring it back in line with the hip. But to do so, I want you to try and draw the ribs and the hips towards each other and gently draw the belly button down. And then you're going to alternate, so drop the opposite leg out to the side and then bring it in. So really small, gentle movement. We're just concentrating on trying to engage those transverse abs. They work very well with our pelvic floor. Very important to keep them active throughout pregnancy, as they do support our back and our pelvic floor. You will find that if you are getting a lot of back pain throughout pregnancy, it might be to do with your abs getting a little bit lazy and switching off. However, we do need to use our abs in everything we do. So getting in and out of the car or in and out of bed, our abs need to be strong enough to get us up. So as soon as they start to get a bit weak, then our back muscles kick into overdrive. So we're going to do a bunch of those little knee dropouts. You're going to think about bringing those hips, sucking those hips towards each other, drawing the belly button down. From there, you're going to do some heel slides. So sliding one heel away. Now, it's most important when you're bringing the heel back towards the bottom. That's when you concentrate on drawing those ribs and the hips towards each other and the belly button gently towards the spine. You don't need to hollow your tummy out. That's too much. It's just more about coordinating these ab muscles or engaging them correctly. It will really help with your recovery post-childbirth, whether you've had a natural vaginal delivery or a Caesar. These little exercises that we are doing, you can do within the first 4 weeks post-delivery of baby. Starting just with some gentle activations, so little knee dropouts. You might have to wait to the 4 to 6 week mark before you start sliding one leg away. It might be just too much on your lower abs to begin with. But definitely after the 6 week post-operative period. We'll just do one more each way. So really gentle movements, but just concentrating on getting those transverse abs involved. Now, if you want to up the intensity, we're going to take our legs into tabletop, but you're just going to do it one at a time. So take a breath in, and then as you breathe out, that's when you draw the ribs and the hips towards each other. Belly button gently off your t-shirt. Take one leg into tabletop, and then the opposite leg meets it. And then you're going to lower the first leg, and then lower the second leg. So you don't want any doming happening or coning during this. If you are getting any of that kind of pointed belly popping out, there's too much pressure in the lower, in the abdominals. So either raise your head up or maybe just stick with single leg tabletop. So keep checking in with the belly. So whatever your leg you begin with, you're gonna, next time around, you're gonna start with the opposite leg. You're gonna do 2 more rounds. So I'm going right leg, right leg lowers, left leg lowers. Then I start with the left leg. Right leg comes up, left leg lowers, right leg lowers. Okay. I'm going to step it up and make it a little bit harder. Only if you feel comfortable doing so. I'm going to take both legs up into tabletop, and then we're going to turn the knees out. So we're going to externally rotate. From here we're going to drop the toe towards the floor and then lift back up and alternate. So now you'll get more pressure on those lower abs, and you get a bit of the hip flexors involved as well. So alternating toe taps in external rotated position, or frog legs if that's easier. I'm going to do 2 more each way. Last one. And then bring those knees together, either hug them in if that's comfortable, or just place them feet on the floor and rock your knees from side to side. And just take a bit of pressure off the lower back. We're going to leave the abs and the legs alone for a little bit. We're going to do some work on some muscles underneath the shoulders, known as serratus. It's one of our postural muscles. So bring your shoulders away from your ears. You might get a little bit of a back bend, that's okay. So you don't have to stay in neutral. As close to neutral as possible is good, but if you get a little bit of a back bend, a little bit of pressure taken off the back, that's totally fine. You're going to take your hands up towards the ceiling. We're going to start, this is just really, really gentle movements, and all we're going to do is just change our hand positions, but we're starting with our thumbs facing back towards the mirror. So you want to try and squeeze all the muscles that kind of keep your shoulders away from your ears. So you want to keep them squeezed. Gently draw the belly button off your t-shirt. So thumbs facing back. You're going to take your thumbs as far as you can back, and then bring the hands straight out in front. So that's all we're doing, is just taking our arms overhead. I do want you to have a gentle chin tuck, just to keep the neck long rather than the neck getting a bit of a bend in it and looking, I don't want the chin up towards the ceiling. So a bit of a chin tuck, shoulders pulled down away from the ears, and we're just moving our hands back as far as we can and then bringing them in front of our chest. But you've got to keep the tension underneath the shoulders. So we're going to do a bunch with our thumbs facing back. We'll do one more. So keep the belly button drawn in so that you're not, when your arms go back, that you're not really pushing your belly button up towards the ceiling. From here, we're going to turn our palms to face the opposite wall. Same thing, just taking our arms above our head and then back to the start position. So really gentle movements. This whole session is, as I said at the start, it's kind of a lazy mat work session, but it's nice to be able to rest and still do some exercises that are needed for posture, like your abs and like your shoulder work. We'll do one more. And then we're going to turn the palms and face the back of the room. So this one might feel very different. because it really rotates the shoulders. So palms face the back. Take them overhead and then back out in front. So you're just going to keep the shoulders away from the ears, keep the tension underneath the shoulders. Check in with that chin, that you've got a chin tuck and it's not lifted up towards the ceiling. Now if you get any pelvic pain, you can use a pillow in between the knees to stop them from kind of hitting each other. We'll do a couple more with the palms facing this way. And then just bringing the arms down and relax. You can just give you a little massage to your shoulders if they are feeling a bit tense. Before we move into our little mermaid stretch to end with, we'll just throw some triceps and some obliques in there as well. So we're going to roll onto our side. So no sitting up, just make sure you are rolling gently onto your side. We've done this movement in other videos before for triceps. Now you don't have to be elevated for this one, so you can take the pillow out of the way. But all we're going to do is put our top arm onto the ground, and you're going to bring kind of your body weight into that arm, and you're going to push yourself up, and then you're going to lie down. So that's our triceps. So you're going to push up and lie down. So if your pillows are getting in the way, just move them to the side. So weight into that front hand and relax. So do 8 to 10. I'm not quite sure how many we've done. We'll do one more and then relax. Now you're going to bring the bottom elbow underneath the shoulder and just make sure that your hips and your shoulders, your hips and your elbow and your shoulder are kind of all in the same line. I'm going to throw some obliques in there. So you can have your hand on your top hip or you can have it up towards the ceiling. Having the top arm extended is going to make things a little bit harder. And then you're going to bring your hips off the ground, but I don't want you to roll forward. I want you to just move your hips straight up towards the ceiling. From here, just going to kiss the ground with that bottom hip and lift up. So our little hip drops for 8. You can do 3 more. On the last one, you're going to hold up. From here, you're going to tap the floor with that top hand and then lift it up towards the ceiling. You do 8 floor to ceiling taps. You've got 2 more. Last one. And if you're feeling adventurous, you can add a thread the needle in there. So you can thread that needle underneath the bottom arm and lift up towards the ceiling. So you can throw a few of those in there if you would like. Now we're going to swing around to do our opposite side. So if you kind of fast forwarded the video at the start to take you onto your back, now you'll do the other side of your clams. But I've already done both sides. So I'm just going to go straight into triceps. So weight into that top hand. You're going to push yourself up and then relax down. 8 to 10. I'm just going to do 8. Last one. And then we're going to move onto our elbow, making sure the elbow and the hips and the shoulders are all in line. We want to create the space between the bottom side of the body and the floor. Take the top hand up towards the ceiling or leave it on the hip. Choice is yours. Hand up towards the ceiling is going to be harder. We're going to lift those hips off the ground. We're going to kiss the ground for 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, last one, hold it up, touch the floor, touch the ceiling for 8. Last 3. Last one, and if you are feeling adventurous, do you thread the needle? It is a bit of a balance challenge. I'm just going to do 4. And then relax. Move your pillow back if you've moved it out of the way. We are going to finish with our mermaid stretch, which is one of my favourites. So, you lie on your side. You're going to take your top arm over. Now, if you want to stack your pillows right up, kind of underneath your shoulder, you get a bit more side flexion or a bit more of a side bend. Take 3 to 4 big deep breaths. And then from here, you're going to bring that top arm around. You're going to rotate the shoulders so that they're facing the floor and relax. So 3 to 4 big deep breaths here. And then coming back into that side bend, then you're going to bend the top elbow, take the hand behind the head, and you're going to rotate, open your chest up towards the ceiling. Now you might just want to change your leg position a little. If you're worried that your hips are going to open up, you can kind of use one leg to strap the other leg down and get a little bit more rotation. And 3 breaths in that position. And then you're going to slowly, I'm not going to change the pillows, I'm just going to roll onto my opposite side, starting with the side bend. And then rotating to bring that top arm around so that the shoulders are facing towards the floor, and relax. Now if your belly's in the way, you can kind of be up in this elevated position. And we come back into that side bend, and then we bend the top elbow, and we're going to rotate back as far as we can, open the chest up towards the ceiling. Use the opposite leg to anchor the top leg if need be, and try and relax. And then slowly making your way up to a sitting position. So we're going to leave it there for today. Thanks for joining me for the session. I really needed to do some exercise lying down. I just felt it was quite comfortable for my body at the moment. We've got plenty of videos on the site, so please just choose one that kind of you feel up to doing that day. If you've got any requests, please let me know. I'm happy to take any requests at all. Just be mindful that I am, coming up to 25 weeks pregnant, so there may be things that I might not be able to do, but I can certainly try and modify things. So yeah, hope everyone is staying well, and please let me know if you do have any feedback. Thank you.